My name is Nova Cole, and a month ago, I was the youngest heart surgeon at St. Paul Medical Center, until someone forged my signature, stole my credentials, and turned my life into a nightmare. Overnight, I lost my job, my marriage, and my reputation. But what they didn't know was that I don't break. I dissect. I uncovered every lie, every betrayal. And when the truth finally surfaced, the people who tried to destroy me faced a justice sharper than any scalpel. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true revenge stories. It was 10:30 p.m., and the corridors of St. Paul Medical Center were almost silent, just the distant pulse of ventilators and the soft mechanical hum of monitors filling the emptiness. I pushed open the door to operating room 4, the scent of disinfectant biting at the edges of my fatigue. The interns were already assembled. 3 of them, their faces hidden behind masks, but their nerves easy to read in the flicker of their eyes. "Focus," I said, tightening the ties of my cap. "The donor heart is ready. We move quickly, not carelessly." They nodded in unison. Even at my 28th year, I was the youngest attending cardiac surgeon in the hospital, a fact that drew equal measures of admiration and resentment. Still, in that bright, sterile room, none of it mattered. Only the rhythm did, the rhythm of steel, heartbeat, and breath. My hands moved, as if guided by music, each motion practiced, precise. The interns followed my cues, passing instruments, sutures, gauze. The air filled with the small metallic symphony of scalpels meeting trays, and the steady tone of the monitor marking life itself. When the new heart began to beat beneath the patient's ribs, a faint smile crept beneath my mask. "Good," I whispered. "Keep it steady." A ripple of relief moved through the team, small sighs breaking the stillness. "Excellent work, everyone," I told them, voice calm but warm. "Let's make sure he wakes up to that same rhythm." Outside the operating room, I stripped off my gloves and washed my hands in silence, the fluorescent light glaring off the stainless steel sink. My reflection in the cabinet looked hollow-eyed, yet proud. A job done, right, another life saved. I pulled off my cap, shaking loose the knot of dark hair at the back of my neck, when my phone vibrated on the counter. "Evan." I hesitated, then answered. "Hey," I said softly, stepping into the hallway. "Are you still at the hospital?" His voice was clipped, already carrying that edge of accusation. "There was an emergency transplant. I told you I might be late." He sighed, sharp, heavy. "Late? Nova, you live there." "I can't remember the last time we ate dinner together. Do you even know what day it is?" "Thursday," I answered, smiling faintly though my chest tightened. "And I'll be home soon. Promise." "Don't bother," he muttered. "You'll fall asleep halfway through a sentence again." The line went dead. I stood there a long moment, phone still in hand, staring at the black screen as if it might bring him back. It didn't. I slipped it into my pocket and exhaled. Just another long night, I told myself. "Dr. Cole," a nurse called from behind me. "Dr. Mason wants to see you in his office. Urgent." My brow furrowed. Dr. Alan Mason, the chief of surgery, rarely summoned anyone after hours. Still in my scrubs, I walked down the dim corridor toward his office. The door was half open, a strip of light cutting across the floor. Mason sat behind his desk, sleeves rolled up, jaw tight. "Nova," he said without greeting, "do you know why you're here?" "No, sir. I just finished the transplant." He slid a folder across the desk. "Then explain this." Inside were medication logs, dosage records, and a consent form, each signed with my name. He leaned forward. "Controlled substances missing from the anesthesia inventory, and a patient left paralyzed after your operation last month. The same file, the same signature." For a second, I couldn't breathe. That can't be right. I never. These aren't mine. Someone must have. Enough, he cut in, voice cold. You've been here barely 2 years. I took a chance on you. Now, you've compromised this department. Please check the footage, I said, heart hammering. The logs, something's wrong. I've seen enough. His hand slammed the folder shut. You're suspended effective immediately. Security will escort you out. The room tilted slightly. My breath came shallow. Slowly, I peeled off my gloves and laid them on the desk. One slipped and landed softly on the floor, white against dark tile, a fragile symbol of everything I'd built slipping away. It was past 1 when I unlocked my apartment door. The hallway light flickered once, then died, leaving a long shadow trailing behind me. I set my hospital bag by the wall, the sterile scent of antiseptic clinging to me like guilt. From the bedroom came the rustle of sheets. Evan's voice, thick with irritation. Nova, what the hell? Do you know what time it is? I froze. I'm sorry, I murmured. Something happened at the hospital. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. A problem? You look like you've seen a ghost. What happened? His tone hardened. You didn't get arrested, did you? The words sliced clean through me. Of course not, I said, forcing a hollow laugh. They think someone forged my signature on a report. They're saying I mishandled medication, that I hurt someone. Evan blinked, absorbing the words. They're saying what? I didn't do anything wrong, I whispered. Dr. Mason showed me papers with my name on them, but they're fake. There has to be a mistake. I need you to believe me. He stared for a long moment, face unreadable. Then he sighed, swinging his legs off the bed. You always said you were careful. How does something like this even happen? Because someone wanted it to, I said quietly. Or maybe, he interrupted, you've been working too hard. Maybe you did mess up and just don't remember. You barely sleep, Nova. I flinched. You think I'd forget paralyzing a patient? He didn't answer, just walked past me into the kitchen, the floor creaking beneath his weight. The refrigerator door opened, flooding the room with pale light. I just need you to stand by me, I said softly. He took a drink of water and closed the fridge with a dull thud. You should get some sleep. We'll talk when you're calmer. Then he walked away. The only sound left was the faint hum of the refrigerator. I stood motionless for a long while before my knees gave out. The tiles were cold beneath me, the darkness heavier than the night outside. That apartment had once been our haven, quiet, warm, filled with late-night laughter and morning sunlight. Now it felt foreign, stripped of comfort. My gaze drifted to the faint gleam of my wedding ring under the stove light, the gold dulled by shadows, distant as the man who'd given it to me. Morning came gray and thin. Traffic murmured outside. I wandered through the apartment in my robe, ghost-like. Cleaning gave me something to do, something to keep my hands from shaking. I gathered glasses, folded blankets, realigned books that hadn't been touched in months. The smell of lemon cleanser mingled with the bitter edge of coffee. Then, behind a vase, I found a photograph, my mother smiling despite exhaustion. A single crack across the frame split her face in two. I sank into a chair, memories flooding back. Our house had been small, peeling wallpaper, the smell of whiskey from my father's endless drinking. My mother worked double shifts at the diner, coming home with grease on her apron and a kiss for me no matter how tired she was. You'll be more than this, Nova, she used to whisper. You'll save people one day. That promise had been the heartbeat beneath every sleepless night of med school, every exam, every surgery. And now I was suspended, accused, humiliated. I looked at her picture and whispered, I'm trying, Mom. I really am. Beside it, tucked between textbooks, another photo caught my eye. Evan and me, years ago, laughing over spilled coffee at a campus cafe. his grin wide, my eyes bright with trust. The woman in that picture looked like a stranger now, unguarded, radiant, certain of love. I ran a thumb over the glass. How did we get here? On the wall, above me, hung our wedding portrait, white roses curling behind us, sunlight catching my veil. I touched the frame. The woman smiling back at me seemed like someone from another lifetime, untouched by betrayal or fear. I let my hand fall. The promise echoed, faintly in my head again, "You'll be something more than this." But for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure I still believed it. By late afternoon, the light slanted weakly through the blinds, tracing pale stripes across the kitchen floor. The coffee in my mug had gone cold, untouched, my thoughts tangled like surgical threads, each one pulling tighter around the memory of Dr. Mason's voice, the disbelief in Evan's eyes, the forged signature that threatened to erase everything I'd worked for. I scrolled through my contacts until I found one name I hadn't seen in years, Clara Jensen. She and I had met in college, me buried in anatomy notes, her drowning in legal briefs. She was the kind of friend who'd drop everything for a late-night drive or show up with pizza when I was too anxious to eat. If there was anyone who'd believe me, it was her. When she picked up, her voice was warm, casual at first. "Nova? Wow, it's been forever." "Clara," I cut in, my voice trembling. "I need help. Legal help." Something in my tone must have told her everything. Her next words were sharp, focused. "What happened?" So I told her. Every detail, from the folder Dr. Mason handed me to Evan's cold dismissal to the sinking dread that maybe someone inside the hospital wanted me gone. By the time I finished, the air between us felt electric with urgency. "Okay," she said at last, her voice steady. "First rule, you say nothing to anyone else. Not to colleagues, not to admin, not even to friends at the hospital. You're officially under investigation. Anything you say can and will be twisted." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "I need you to gather every document you've signed in the last 6 months, surgical consents, med logs, patient records. I'll have a handwriting expert compare them. If it's forgery, we'll prove it." For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of something. Hope, fragile but real. "Thank you, Clara." I didn't know who else to call. "Don't thank me yet," she replied softly. "This kind of setup isn't random. Someone's targeting you. We just need to figure out who and why." After the call ended, I pulled out my files. I spent hours scanning papers, checking dates, highlighting inconsistencies. My mind numbed with repetition, but it gave me purpose, something to anchor myself to. Outside, the sky darkened, clouds heavy with rain. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look, but I did. "Evan." I hesitated before answering. "Hey," I said quietly. His voice was distant, professional. "I got a call from someone at the hospital. They said you're under investigation for theft." I froze. "Evan, it's not true. They're wrong. Someone forged." "Stop," he interrupted. The words clipped. "Do you have any idea what this could do to me? My firm can't have my wife's name tied to criminal accusations. Do you know what my clients will think?" His words felt like a slap. "Evan, I just need you to trust me. Please." "I can't live with someone who's being investigated," he said flatly. "I'm sorry, Nova. I'll be staying with my mother for a while." The line went silent. I waited, hoping he'd say something else, but nothing came. My fingers loosened, and the phone slipped from my hand, hitting the tile with a hollow crack. The sound seemed to echo forever. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at my reflection in the dark kitchen window. The confident surgeon who used to command operating rooms now looked like a stranger, haunted, lost, alone. Days blurred together after that. I didn't leave the apartment except to buy groceries. Clara called often, her voice my only lifeline. The handwriting analysis was still pending. she said. The hospital had filed an internal review. I just had to wait. But waiting became its own kind of torment. Every knock on the door, every email notification felt like a trigger waiting to go off. Then one gray morning, the lock clicked and the door opened. I froze. Evan stepped in, dressed in his usual tailored suit, the scent of his cologne slicing through the stale air. "You could have called," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He shrugged. Didn't think I needed permission. "Still my place, technically." "Technically?" I repeated, folding my arms. "You said you were staying with your mother." "I am," he replied easily, glancing around as if inspecting a property he was about to sell. "Just came to grab a few things." "Then grab them and go." He gave a humorless chuckle. I talked to my lawyer. Turns out the apartment's in my name. So if anyone's leaving, it's you." I stared at him, disbelief morphing into something sharper. "That's not true. We bought it together. I've paid half the mortgage from my salary." He smirked. "You were paying. You don't have a salary anymore." The words hit like a punch. For a second, I couldn't breathe. "You can't just throw me out. Evan, watch me." Something in me snapped then. All the fear, humiliation, sleepless nights, they coiled into one trembling surge of defiance. I stepped forward and slapped him. The sound cracked through the air, like thunder. His head jerked to the side. Shock flickered, then amusement. He touched his cheek and smiled. "There it is," he murmured. "The temper everyone warned me about." My hand shook, but I said nothing. He opened his briefcase, pulling out a manila folder. "You might want to sit for this." "I'm fine," I said through clenched teeth. He spread out several glossy photographs on the counter. In them, I stood in what looked like a hotel room, laughing, leaning toward another man, someone I didn't even recognize. My blood ran cold. "What is this?" "Evidence," he said simply. "You and some guy from the hospital. I've already filed the divorce petition. Adultery. Misconduct. That's not me." I gasped. "Those are fake, edited." He shrugged. "The court will decide. But if I were you, I'd start packing." The walls seemed to close in. My vision blurred. "How could you do this, Evan?" He leaned closer, his eyes hard. "You ruined your own career. Nova, don't make me your villain." He gathered the photos and slipped them back into his briefcase, straightening his tie. "I'll send someone for the rest of my things next week. Try not to make a scene." When the door clicked shut behind him, the silence was suffocating. I sank onto the couch, my body trembling. My palm still burned from the slap, a reminder that I wasn't powerless. I looked at my hands, red and trembling, and whispered, "They took my name. They won't take my truth." The next morning, I sat in Clara's office, my eyes swollen from another sleepless night. She laid a stack of files on the table between us. "The handwriting report's back," she said, flipping it open. "It's a clear forgery. The signature on the medication logs doesn't match yours, not even close." Relief hit me so hard I almost cried. "Then we can clear my name?" "Eventually," she said, "but this goes deeper than a bad signature. Whoever did this had access to confidential files, and your ID. That means someone inside the hospital." "Dr. Mason?" I asked. Clara's brow furrowed. "He's the one who accused you, right?" "Yes." "Then he's either covering for someone, or he's the one setting you up." The words hung between us, sharp as glass. I leaned back, the faint pulse of anger beginning to replace fear. "Then we find proof." Clara nodded slowly. "We will. But you need to be careful. Whoever's behind this has already stolen your career and your marriage. They won't stop easily." I stared out the window at the gray skyline of St. Paul, my reflection faint in the glass. The woman staring back, wasn't the same surgeon who'd walked into that operating room a week ago. She was colder now, focused, dangerous, and whoever tried to destroy me was about to find out what that meant. The days that followed blurred into an endless rhythm of calls, paperwork, and exhaustion. Clara worked tirelessly, pushing through red tape while I gathered every record I could find, schedules, access logs, prescription codes, even cafeteria receipts, anything that could prove I was being framed. One evening, Clara called. "Nova, I've been digging through the hospital's internal review. Guess what I found?" I straightened in my chair. "What?" "Your security badge was used in the pharmacy storage room after your suspension." My pulse spiked. "That's impossible. My badge is locked in my drawer." "Someone cloned it," Clara said grimly. "Whoever framed, you didn't just forge your signature, they used your digital credentials. And there's one more thing." I held my breath. The keycard logs show it was used by a staff member named Dr. Lauren Pierce. Ring any bells? The name hit like a dull blade. Lauren, one of the interns from my rotation, ambitious, reckless, always desperate to impress. I'd once covered for her when she nearly botched a post-op report. She's a resident now," I whispered, under Mason's supervision. Clara's voice turned cold. "Then we start there." That night, I drove to the hospital. Rain swept across the parking lot in streaks of silver. My heart pounded with the old rhythm of the operating room. Steady, deliberate, focused. Inside, the corridors glowed dim and empty. I walked past the nurse's station, down the hall toward my old office. My badge shouldn't have worked, but when I tapped it against the reader, the door clicked open. Someone had reactivated my access. Inside, everything was exactly as I'd left it. The books, the pen jar, the faint scent of disinfectant clinging to the air. But something new caught my eye. A small flash drive on the corner of my desk. My pulse quickened. I picked it up, plugged it into my laptop, and watched a single folder appear on the screen. Pharmacy logs, edited. Inside were timestamps, digital trails, proof that someone had tampered with the original records. Whoever left it wanted me to find it. Then I saw another file. Mason_Pierce_transactions.pdf. I opened it. My stomach twisted. It was a spreadsheet of wire transfers, monthly deposits from a pharmaceutical distributor into an account under Lauren Pierce's name. The sender? Mason Research Consultancy. Mason was running a kickback scheme, using hospital drugs for private trials, laundering funds through his intern. And when someone got suspicious, they pinned it on me. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. I yanked out the drive, closed my laptop, and stepped into the shadows just as the door creaked open. Lauren entered, still in her white coat, her face illuminated by her phone's light. She froze when she saw me. "Dr. Cole?" "Working late, Lauren?" I asked, my voice steady. She blinked, then forced a smile. I could ask you the same." "Funny," I said softly, "considering I'm suspended." Her mask cracked. A flicker of panic flashed behind her eyes. "Relax," I said. "I just came for a few personal files." "Then you should leave," she said quickly. "Dr. Mason's on his way." So that's who she texted. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Lauren, I know about the forged logs, the fake transfers. I know Mason's been using you." Her lips parted, trembling. "You don't understand," he said. "He said it would be temporary." "He said a lot of things," I replied. "But when this blows up, he'll make sure you take the fall. He already framed me." She shook her head, tears brimming. "I didn't mean to." The door opened again, and Mason entered, his calm mask breaking when he saw us. "Nova," he said, his tone sharp, "you're trespassing." I met his gaze. "Am I? Or are you here to clean up the evidence before the board meets tomorrow?" He smirked. "You're grasping at ghosts. You've ruined your career. Walk away before I make it worse. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket, holding it up. Then explain this. For the first time, his expression faltered. Pharmacy logs, wire transfers, altered access reports. I said, stepping forward. You paid your intern to falsify records, then used my name to cover your trail. Lauren's breath hitched. Mason turned to her slowly, his voice low and venomous. You left the drive? Her voice broke. You said you'd fix it, that no one would get hurt. Get out, he snapped. But I was already moving. It's over, Alan. Clara has copies of everything. The board, the state licensing authority. They'll all know by morning. He lunged forward, grabbing my arm, his face twisted with fury. You think this will save you? You'll still be ruined. I met his eyes, cold and steady. Maybe, but so will you. His grip tightened before he released me with a snarl. You always thought you were better than everyone. Let's see how long your name lasts when this hits the press. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Lauren stood, trembling. I didn't mean to. I know, I said quietly, but you'll have to tell the truth now. She nodded weakly, tears spilling down her cheeks. The next morning, the board meeting was packed. Cameras flashed as reporters gathered outside the conference hall. Clara stood beside me, every inch the composed attorney in her charcoal suit. Mason entered with his lawyer, his expression carved from ice. When the chairman asked for statements, Clara rose first. She presented the flash drive, the forged signatures, the bank transfers. Each piece fell into place like a puzzle forming the face of guilt. Then, when Lauren took the stand, the final thread snapped. She confessed everything. The falsified reports, Mason's coercion, the secret payments. The room fell silent when she said my name, her voice breaking. Mason's lawyer tried to object, but it was too late. The evidence was overwhelming. The board moved swiftly, suspending him pending federal investigation. Afterward, as we stepped into the hallway, reporters swarmed. Microphones shoved toward my face, questions overlapping. Dr. Cole, how does it feel to be cleared? I paused, the lights flashing like a storm around me. Justice isn't about winning. I said quietly, it's about truth surviving the lies. Clara guided me out through the side exit. The cold air hit my lungs like baptism. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. A month later, I stood at the hospital entrance again, not as a surgeon this time, but as a witness in Mason's trial. He'd been arrested for fraud and misconduct. Lauren had taken a plea deal. The new chief of surgery, a kind older man named Dr. Chun, found me afterward. When you're ready, Nova, there'll always be a place for you here. I smiled faintly. Thank you, but I think I've had enough operating rooms for a while. That night, back in my apartment after the court awarded me full ownership, I sat by the window with a cup of coffee. The city lights shimmered against the glass, each one a quiet reminder of the life I'd nearly lost. My mother's photo sat on the table beside me. I picked it up, tracing the cracks in the frame. You were right, I whispered. I became something more. I didn't need the title or the uniform to know who I was. I'd saved lives before, but this time I'd saved my own. And as the rain began to fall softly against the window pane, I let it wash away the last of the fear. Justice wasn't about revenge. It was about balance. And I finally had mine.